Yeah.
Right. Rightio. Odd Loose Lines is back. Daniel Hibberd, hello to you, mate.
Hello, Paul. Yes, good to be back. It's don't know what to do with myself actually this week. No Bendigo calling, so it's a very quiet week this week.
It is indeed. You're a little bit croaky, but that's okay. It'll work out. We had a couple of little technical issues just before, but it was as much my end as it was your end, so there's no problem.
No, your end.
All right, it was all my end then, if you like. Been a big week in harness racing and that, and been a lot of fun. There's plenty to talk about. Sometimes I have a lot of content to put in, sometimes I have a lot of video. Tonight, don't have too much. We encourage people to get involved in the conversation and be a part of the show, because that's actually what we want to do, Daniel. We want to have a little bit of fun with what we do and be able to enjoy ourselves, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you want to do on a midweek night. Just sort of review what's happened and look forward to what's a big weekend, particularly in the trots and the dog codes as well.
Yeah, and I was actually going to have some props. I was going to get me winter beanies out. I've got a couple probably down there on the ground somewhere, and the scarves, because it is freezing here in Victoria at the minute, mate.
It is the 14th of December, and it's like it's the 4th of July. It's freezing.
It is, absolutely. We've already got a couple of people on. Nellie Melba is there. Nellie generally watches through YouTube, so hello to you, Nellie. And Jeffrey Dixon, great Inter-Dominion coverage, Paul, and the team. Thank you very much, Jeffrey. The team is just me. We just do what we can with the Campbell's comments. So, but I think it was good. I didn't watch. Were you there, Daniel, at all?
No, I wasn't. No, I went to the heats at Shepparton. I spent the night there, and that was a really good night of racing, and then sort of watched a bit of most of the finals on Saturday night at home. So we're watching the coverage on racing.com through Trots Vision. So it was a good, interesting night's racing.
Did you enjoy the coverage on .com?
I mean, it was pretty much the same as what you would get on Trots Vision in any case, but with a little bit more. A couple of extra bits and pieces, and I thought it was really strong coverage. I mean, it was very much like what had been produced with the greyhounds across the Dream Chasers Festival. So we've got both codes really able to use that platform really well. It's something that can clearly be built on. Going forward, because I mean the gallops, yes, they race at night, but there's still a lot of windows that can be open for us to get product out on that service throughout the course of the year. It just doesn't have to be prime time.
I was just watching some of the comments, Daniel. Hence the reason I changed the hat while you were doing that. One comment has already got a black mark next to the person's name. Yo, sunny and 30 here. Merry Christmas. Well, officially, the answer is what it is going to be. You do not need to use your imagination. And Timmy White, of course, from New Zealand. Timmy, we've got a pretty good content coming up with New Zealand tonight, mate. So stay tuned. We've got a fair bit coming with the Kiwis with some good racing on the weekend and a couple of good little stories today. But thank you very much, Yo. Daniel, before we go too far on, next week's show on Loose Lines is actually going to be on a Tuesday night. And it's going to be from Wagga. So we're going to be doing the actual catalogue launch for Nutrien. We'll be there on that Tuesday night. Plus Greg Gengel. I don't know if you know Greg, if you've had a lot of dealings with Greg, but this could be bigger than Ben-Hur. In fact, Ben-Hur, they'll forget Ben-Hur after this show. So it could end up being a 4 or 5 hour show. But I just encourage people, I will advertise it, but we will be doing the actual catalogue launch. We will have the catalogues in our hands, but we will be live. There'll be people there enjoying the night from a Nutrien point of view, plus there'll be racing. So we're encouraging everyone to get involved. That will be next Tuesday night, 6 o'clock till whenever. Please get involved online as well as into the actual get the show as well. So that'll be terrific. Timmy White's even rubbing our nose in it, mate. New Zealand, and he's down the south, Southern Bred.
25.
20.
Kidding me, don't you? It's been raining sideways here at Maroon for the this afternoon. It was blowing a gale. It seems to have settled down a little bit out there at the moment, but it's been terrible. It's the 14th of December. It's ridiculous.
No, you're 100% right, Daniel, and everything you said is right. And I'm just not actually all that happy with these people. We've now got a heap of emojis. I've got this worked out too. I'll put those little comments up there because I think people enjoy seeing their comments more than they see my name and badging. But a lot of little emojis there from M.Yo. BK, who is a first time for me. Not warm at Bathurst tonight either, lads. I'm feeling it too. So I think from Bathurst, I reckon M would only be probably 4 or 5 hours. So it's just amazing weather we're having here in Australia right at the minute. So it's ridiculous. So, yeah. And it's interesting there, M's next comment is thanks for keeping the weather south, but Bathurst is definitely not south. So, yeah, but it's very, very trying conditions for everyone. So, anyway, so that'll be next Tuesday night. So, please, if you're in the area, get involved and have a little bit of fun with us as well. So, it's what we want to do. But north of Newcastle, going there. Steve McGrath's in as well. M's very quick on the typing tonight. She's going to.
Yes, very, very quick.
So catalogue, and I'll just make sure, but catalogues should be available from the 20th onwards. So anyone chasing a catalogue, get in touch with myself, but also the guys at Nutrient and Daniel. While I'm doing the Nutrient, here I'll just, as I said, there's nothing officially addressed. There's a Nutrient website down the bottom, nutrienequine.com.au. Make sure you go there for those. And of course, Bathurst this year is going to be a lot of fun. So that is going to be on March the 19th. That is an old one because the entries have already closed and done up, but going to be a lot of fun going from there. Explains a lot. M's last comment, Daniel. Home Alone.
It does.
Home Alone.
She's bored.
Home Alone's a big giveaway. Darren Pace has joined in. Darren got a winner today at Geelong, so well done to you, Darren. He's a my vintage from back. Well, he'll be upset with that. He's a little bit younger than me. He's Grant's age, so he won't be that happy. But good to see him training and driving a winner today at Geelong. So going there. There's 85 yearlings in at Bathurst for the Nutrient sale. So. Which is really, really good. We've got some greyhound news. We're going to talk greyhounds towards the end. We'll have quite a few greyhound people on as well, plus touch off on a few races in New Zealand. One little achievement, which I'll get to in a second, Daniel, and also we'll touch on a few of the fields going forward for harness racing as well. So we encourage everyone to get involved and be a part of it. But it is going to be a lot of fun, Nutrient Catalogue, and it's going to be ramping up from now on. I know I've got a little trip to Queensland early in the new year. Em may not know about that, Daniel. She finds these things out at the last minute. Em, I'll give you the heads up. I think myself and Mr. Barton will be in Queensland early in the new year, touching off with some of the breeders and looking forward to really promoting what's going to be a huge season for the breeders selling horses, which will come around very, very quickly. The first sale is on the 7th of March at Sydney. So we encourage everyone to get involved in that. I did have one of those ones. Maybe it's that one. No, it's not that one. Don't worry. Rightio. Okay. Daniel, into Dominion. How did you find it?
It was a good night. The racing was good with the Trotters final. I thought it was a really good Trotters final. Really close finish. I mean, the top four finished where most people thought they would. It was just a matter of who was going to get the right one. And in the end, it was probably the horse that had the toughest trip that actually did enough to score. Really tough effort. Majestuoso probably just a touch unlucky. He almost had it in the bag and was just grabbed late on. Queen Elita was back on the inside, was able to get out in plenty of time. And Mufasa Metro certainly had its chance as well. So I mean, you couldn't begrudge the first four. They were probably the best four in the series, and they've run the top four. And Just Believe was too tough. It was a really good performance. The pacing final, I don't know what to make of it. I really don't.
This is a positive. It's a positive show, Daniel. So you've got to be a touch positive. But I do agree with you. You can get it off your chest. You're right.
I'm just worried. I just don't know what we do about it. Like, it's just the horse that got the easy run was able to get through. But you switch that draw with the other 11 horses, and they all win it. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's just that I don't know what the answer is. They can all these horses can run 2,700. They can go 156. They can all run that time as long as they're up on the speed and in front. If they're behind, they've got absolutely no chance. Nothing can come 3 wide, sit parked and be too tough. It just doesn't happen anymore. Barrier draws, they've always been important. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's just critical now with the way the horses are. Like, if you draw bad, you have basically got no chance unless something makes a move and they go nuts like they did in the Ballarat Cup last year. It's just not. It just doesn't produce, something, a really viable contest. I don't know what the answer is. It's just, it was, unfortunately, it was just a terrible race. It was a terrible race. It was because no one made a move. And that's just because of they don't want to burn all their fuel and get stuck 3 wide and then end up running last. I get that, but it just, I don't know what the answer is, but it just wasn't. It just didn't. Yeah, sorry, just didn't appeal to me. I'm sorry.
Anyone wondering? Daniel had to get that off his chest. I knew he had to. He wasn't happy. You and I were talking just a little while ago. In seriousness too, Daniel, we watched a race at Sandon, which Harasta Trotters actually had a thoroughbred and it ran second in that race. 2,400 metre race, early move. Leader got there, dictated the race. Leader won. It's possibly one of the byproducts of so many good trainers, so many good horsemen, and so much more professionalism, if you like, getting into the categories now. That does seem to make it harder for those horses out the back. You're right, though, but we need to be able to, I don't know how we can change it. Oh, well, you and I do know one way, but apparently that'll never happen again. But we're going to highlight a couple of races in New Zealand coming up very, very shortly. Standing starts, they change that big time, those sorts of races, don't they?
Well, they do, and I mean, and it's just, you're probably not going to have a standing start in the Dominion final. I get that. There's no question about that. But some of the other bigger races, where they're just, it just adds an element of unpredictability. I know I Cast No Shadow was $16 and it was a ruffian one, but as I say, you put any other horse in the same spot and it probably runs over the top and wins as well. But yeah, I mean, the standing start just throws up that other element. Something could ping away from the takes and be 20 metres in front and just make it a real staying contest and make the rest of them really chase hard to run it down. They might not be able to do it. Whereas this, they walked for the first lap and then they decided to sprint from basically the 1,100, and they can all do that. We've got to think of something because it's not. I don't know whether it's the track. 1,000-metre tracks are doing it. I don't know whether it's better suited on a half-mile track or a big track like Menangle. I don't know, but it just didn't sit right the way it all played out.
Rightio. I'm not going to pursue it with you much more because you.
No, you're right.
But one other question, just on the Inter-Dominions, and something we don't have a lot of over here. What about the reserves being drawn in the field and the potential that they can have to manipulate markets? Now, I'm not about betting and the likes, but we also have to be positive, and we've got to promote a show in a positive, our product in a positive way. Chris Finozio's horse, Anywhere Hugo, draws the pole. Queen Elida is either a $3 or $4 pop sitting behind Mufasa Mestro, or he could even be a $6, $7 pop if Anywhere Hugo gets a run and Chris has to get off the fence. What's your thoughts on the emergencies and them drawing in the field? And almost on that, the comical of the first round of heats, when first horse in gets that barrier draw, but of course that first horse in with all those scratchings out of one heat was Monomia, which was an ODM horse. And so technically the second horse got the best draw because the barrier one was available and that horse got in through that barrier. So it is a little bit of a curly one, that too, as well.
I understand how it played out in the with the first round of heats. That's I get that, how that sort of played out. As far as the finals and horses drawn in the field, I really think it should be like the greyhounds. So it should be just classed as reserves, and then they take the barrier of whatever horse comes out. The same as what happens in the greyhounds, where the dog comes out and the replacement goes into that vacated box. So because it is open to manipulation sometimes, depending on the horses that are there might be multiple horses from one stable, and the best one might be the emergency, and has the plum draw but can't get a run, and all of a sudden a stable may get scratched for whatever reason. That's just I'd probably prefer it to be done as a reserve, rather than make them numbers 13 and 14 or whatever the case may be, and then they stick with that TAB number, but they get the barrier draw of whatever one's been scratched.
And in reality, Anywhere Hugo was, he wasn't even the, 13th best runner. He wasn't even that, because effectively there was already a scratching. So he was 14th best runner. So there is that byproduct as well. So I think that's a big issue. It was, once that happened, like I stood at the barrier draw with John Justice, and he gets barriers 2 and 4 on paper. Effectively, he gets 1 and 3, and he's like, wow, and then he has that thing because he's got Queen Elida on his back, or he would still cross Anywhere Hugo, and so then he has that part as well. So it's an interesting one. We got Cold Trickle, Hunter Cup should be a stand. Still, and some of the country cups, and then Joe Pace has just said then the Hunter Cup is drawn on stake money earned, and there's a big.
I think he's made should be stake money earned. I think it's a random draw. Yeah,
so there's two sides to that, because I think you'll find the Cranbourne Trotters Cup is preferential draw.
And that's caused a bit of angst as well. That I was reading about that earlier. Yeah, that's caused a bit of grief as well. So I mean, there's so many little quirks that we have in the game, and you sometimes look at it and think, well, how does that work? And I completely get the querying why a Group 1 would be a preferential draw. It doesn't sort of make a great deal of sense that you would have a Group 1 as preferential draw. Surely it should be a random draw.
No, totally agree. And don't forget too, if you're watching on YouTube, you can get involved. Barb Sedgwick, I think is Nellie Melba, but I'm not sure. She just got back from Ballarat for a few days. It's wet.
You keep talking for 2 seconds.
Oh, you're going to do this? He's going to do this to me. I know where he's gone. He's actually gone to cook tea. He's trying to make out he's a good partner for Suzanne, who's not home just yet. So he's cooking tea for her, which is very, very nice. But please get involved in the comments. The stake money earned is a great one, Joe Pace, because it's one of our richest races. So people are going to get to
just making sure I don't burn the house down, right?
Yeah, you're trying to get in the good books. I hope it's more than sausages on toast. Joe Pace's thing there should be on stake money. I don't mind that, Daniel, with the mobiles, because King of Swing, so King of Wing drew 1, Supreme Dominator drew 12. I don't actually mind his idea, because the stake money then it's not like people are going to manipulate to get to it. It's actually, you earn your right to get in it, not on stake money, but then once you're in the field, it's drawn on the stake money that you've earned. So you've got to still be able to perform to get into it. It's not like you can have a horse run out of form or something along those lines. You've got to have the form on the board to get into the race. So there is a lot of plus. Couldn't do it for every race, but it definitely could work for a race like the Hunter Cup if they're not going to go back to a standing start. And it's a distance race, so it still gives King of Swing plenty of time to get up outside Supreme Dominator. And then whether Joe wants to hand up, whether they want to hand up, sit on his back or keep him up. There's a lot of... I don't mind that idea at all, Joe. I hadn't thought about that one, but I quite like that. It would be interesting, be too hard to do now, would have been interesting to see where Supreme Dominator would have possibly drawn at the time, but a lot of those horses' form would have changed around. So, yeah. And you would have got you'd also get the thing there with, from memory, Spirit of St. Louis last year, Daniel, hit form in the Bendigo Cup. He won the Bendigo, then he won the Ballarat. He won the Ballarat as well?
Yeah, He won all three.
So then all of a sudden, leading into the Dominion, one, he's the form horse, but every time he ticks off a win, he's getting wider and wider on the track or onto the second line. So, yeah, so that's pretty intriguing.
Which is a bit like the Gallops, where they, if they keep winning, they obviously go up and weight. In terms of the handicapping side, obviously you've got your weight for age, category which you can run in, but as they get better in that that handicap level, it does make it harder to win. But that's the whole point of the handicaps.
Nah, definitely. We've got Grant Campbell on. We've got Denise Muir on. Grant's not about, he's the little brother. I haven't spoke to him for a while, but he's actually on my show, so I can say hello to him. I can say hello to him that way, Daniel. How's that work, you reckon?
What are you going to wish him a Merry Christmas and we'll see you in the new year?
Well, I won't see him before Christmas, I don't think. So, yeah, I hope it wasn't too windy. I hope it wasn't too windy for him at Great Western. I know there were meant to be a roof going up. I don't know whether it would have gone up today or not.
I doubt it very much.
There's a few jobs you wouldn't like to be doing at the minute in South Victoria, South Australia, like down here. It's a pretty ordinary couple of days, that's for sure. But yeah, as the Kiwi said, better on a bigger track, more chance of getting a run. That's exactly right. So the bigger the track, the better. And unfortunately, that's another thing that Melton, not only did they build the track the wrong angle and put the grandstand in the wrong spot, and on a day like today it'd be horrible there at Melton, there's no problems there. They also possibly should have gone to at least a 1,200 metre track, if not 1,400, but 1,400 would have been ideal. So just something different. And I'll tell you the one thing I said, I found on that, Daniel, it was after the second round of heats. Tonkins had 5 horses. Is that right? No, Tonkins had 5. Did they have 5 in the final? Mac Dan. They had 3 for Bruce Edwards, Mac Dan, and Honolulu Bay. So they had 5. After the first round of heats, they had 5. Greg Sugars had Better Eclipse. The rest of the horses were trained in New South Wales on the big, spacious 1,400 metre track, and going terrific. So yeah, it was good. Make every race in Australia preferential barrier draw in dollars, and you'll see a far greater product than we produce right now. So, yep, and that's and hello, brother.
Hello, brother.
I might have to call this family ties or something instead.
That's probably the one thing that would certainly make it a lot more competitive, particularly in that upper echelon. It's probably not going to make it terrific amount of difference in the lower class of races, given the quality of the horse in that in those brackets. But when you get up into the the metropolitan class and the free for all class, it certainly would make a difference. You go up and you sort of a bit of a sliding scale. When you're earning good money, you sort of you're drawn back, and you sort of gradually, you come back down and get the better draw, and it's would certainly make it a bit more, for those that are winning all the big races. If they can win it from barrier 12, well, then they deserve it.
And I'll tell you what else it would do, Daniel, too. If you have a horse in form, say our horse McCheddar, and there's a nice race in Melbourne coming up, like a $30,000 race, and effectively you're not that class. But because you've only won, say, 5 races at the time or 4 races at the time, you're going to get a good draw. So you'll step that horse out of its comfort zone, which then throws intrigue into the betting markets. That all of a sudden, here's this horse on the way up, going there, because you can manipulate, because you're going to get a good barrier draw if you can make the field. If your form's good, you make the field. Whereas at the minute, people are very happy just to stay in their national ratings, just work their way through the classes, because there's no incentive to go further up the train. So I think there is definitely, and that is one of the things I think they have to do, is change it so that they can get people to race effectively out of their classes, but in their form, if that makes sense. Like, so if they're in good form, go from there. Grant's come back here. Gallopers carry weight along with a rating. We only have a rating handicap to handicap them properly. So, yep, that's right. So he's right. Actually, I never thought about that. Even though they have a rating as well, they still get their weights afterwards. So except for weight for age races. But as you said then, Daniel, the better performed horses, when they get in those weight for age races, they get the top weights. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're in basically weight for ages for your absolute elite. So you are you're racing against them purely on at level weights, essentially. Only, of course, difference is the 8-year age and your sex, but it makes it's the purest form of racing. Whereas the handicap, if you're prepared to carry the weight and try and win, well and good. And if you've got something that's at the bottom end of the ratings and has got a low weight, well, then you get your opportunity to win. And that's the thing, you only get to when you're coming through, you only get to carry that 50 kilos or 51 kilos in a two-rack handicap or a bloody Oakley plate or something like that. You only get to do it once. Once you've won it, you're never going to be back down on that weight again. So that's the whole idea of it.
There is a galloper, Archie. I think it's Archie Alexander's got it. It's a mare that could have competed in more races over the spring, but there is a race for it early in the autumn. So they've tipped the horse out, giving it a spell, and bringing it back simply because of that exact same. I'm not sure of the race even, but just so it gets the lightweight, and it'll be very, very hard to beat over the autumn carnival, and it's a better prize money.
I reckon it is something that's going in the Oakley plate.
Yep, I reckon you're right too, and I think the horse's name starts with M. Someone will know. Yeah, and go from there. Right, so we've got a couple of good comments here. Joe Pace is one there. I'll go back to Trav Preston in a minute, Trav. I will not forget you. They cap the ratings at 120, and this is exactly right. They cap them at 120, but as soon as they put in one bad run, they drop back. You can't go any higher. So King of Swing can continually win and win and win, puts in two bad races, and all of a sudden he could be a 116 rater. And say Supreme Dominator, we'll use Joe while he's going. He's a 120 rater at the minute. He has to race outside of King of Swing if they go on ratings. Yeah. That is stupid. So, totally agree with that one. And the trotters, that is a major, major issue with coming up now. Some of these higher class trotters, that's why they get on such a good run, is because they can't go any higher. They need to go higher. They're too busy worrying about these 50 raters and under, which we're not bringing that into the conversation tonight because we will not go to bed, Daniel, if we bring those in. Your house will burn down. You'll be in all sorts of trouble. But I do agree. There's nothing. Why can't King of Swing be 160 rater? And because if he's winning all those races, they deserve to go up a grade. But when you get to 120, that's the end of it. So I think it's Greg's two horses, Greg Sugar's two horses. Pointing questions, competed in Grand Circuit racing and everything else like that. And there was a race towards the summit, and I think they dropped back, Better Eclipse dropped back to about 116 rater. Had other horses outside of him, yet he'd been competing in Grand Circuit racing. It seems very, very odd, that part. G, hello to you, Andrew Wishart's there as well. He's a nutrient man, I reckon, Andrew Wishart. If he's a man, I think he is, but that's good to see him. Right, Travis Preston, majority of country cups have become pedestrian. He is just 100% right. Put all country cups back to standing start discretionaries, better racing, better spectacle. Trav's from Birchip and the Birchip, and he is right. It is boring, pedestrian, and go from there. But I think something definitely needs to change to make it harder. I got no doubt if HRV or HRA go to the people like, say, Luke McCarthy, he'll say, no, you can't penalise them any more than 120. But seriously, start having a look at it and realising what is going on. And but what Joe said earlier, if they get penalised for the stake money that they've earned in their barrier draws, well, it doesn't matter. They can drop back to 116. It's not going to make one ounce of difference. But yeah, I don't understand why you want horses of that calibre dropping back points. It just seems ludicrous.
Probably the thing, I know King of Swing's obviously retired now, but I think the big thing, or the interesting thing with him is he won a lot of his races. Not only won races in Victoria as well, but it's all right to say penalising with the barrier draws, but he was always drawing outside the front row anyway. They have 10 across the front. He was just powering forward and getting to the front anyway. So, he was just the best horse going around at that time. So, And again, barrier draws are at Menangle when you've got 10 across the front, and then you're going to draw 10 every week. Well, it does. Most of the time you're going to go forward and try and get the front, and if you're the best horse, you're just going to win. So there's probably a little quirk to it as well.
The other part about it is we're always quick to try and stop our good horses. I enjoy watching horses like King of Swing. Troy Harley, like he went to the Newcastle Inter Dominion just purely to see King of Swing, and he still talks about it, waxes on about it now, about how great it was to be there and actually see him. I thought it might have been meeting Grant, but no, it wasn't. It was actually to go there and but I understand what Troy says. Like a lot of the time, and it's a difference with the greyhounds. Like, well, she's fast. When they get a run on, there is no way of penalising them other than luck of the draw, if you like, because.
But box. If you thought draws were vital in the trots, they're absolutely everything in greyhound racing.
But when they jump, people go there to watch them. Yet in our game, we try to stop them. But yeah, it is one of those ones. So Joe's got back to us. Rock and Roll Chapel's 160 rated, drew 10, $160,000 in stakes. Artie was 120, 1.5 million, draws 11. Yeah, so there's a fair difference in that going there. Don't need ratings at top level, just handicap them on money. That's what Grant. So he agrees with us, and I think it just seems. It actually seems ridiculous, especially when you talk about a mare like Rock and Roll Chapel, who was a great mare. Why is she only 4 points off Lochinvar Art, who was at the time touted as our next superstar? And I see he's not far off stepping out in America, and he's 100% right. Travis Knight from Birchup, sorry. But
you're hopeless with names anyway, so it's nothing new.
Travis Preston, I'm pretty sure is Ararat or Stall, but yeah, I totally agree. I do know I don't know how I get a job like. Oh, I do, because I'm the CEO of the business. That's how. Yeah. Does that work? Rightio.
What's going to happen at your next annual general meeting? You get voted out.
Oh,
you can't remember your own name.
Mate, there's been the odd punch on. Don't worry about that. It's a very odd situation. Right, one of the highlights on Inter Dominion night was Taylor French taking out. I'm going to say well done to Taylor for taking out the Australian Junior Drive or Australasian Junior Drivers Championships. But what a great series it was. The Kiwis came out swinging. Emily Savelko gets a double as well. I mean, it was a great series. Great to have these guys back front and centre. I think it was really, really good. It was good to see them getting around to a few of the country tracks as well. And all the trainers for getting behind them and sticking up for them, giving them drives.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were no ratings exempt races, so that made people were, obviously keen to put the horses in it. Obviously, you're always going to get a decent drive, right? You're not getting an apprentice. You're getting a really top class junior driver. I sort of paid attention to the first few heats and saw that the Kiwis had really dominated early on, and sort of missed the middle section. And then it was a real shock actually when I saw that Major Watson had scored not only at 100-1, but also the fact that Taylor had been able to win the series. I think I looked at some point at a live leaderboard or something might have been after 3 or 4 heats, and I thought she was down the back end, sort of third or fourth last, something like that. And then when they said she won, I thought, really? I didn't even realise that she'd been able to make up so much ground, particularly given the early dominance at the top end of the leaderboard. But it was, she deserves to win it. I mean, if you're gonna win a series like that and you're gonna win on an 80-1 pop, 100-1 pop, well, you deserve to win the series as far as I'm concerned.
In front of everyone, and that's what Julie Douglas horses can do. They can. I know when you do your form for those horses, you just throw form out the window, and because they can pop up at any time. Is that the better half home to look after tea, or?
No, the dogs are wagging their tails. I can't see a car, but I'd say she's not far away.
Harass the Trotters, great supporters and sponsors of Campbell's Comments. This is their week. They bred, or what's it end up being, 7 winners for the week. The best bourbon at Menangle, a bit of a dreamer at Kilmore. Bendigo, they had a night out on that All Trotters night, and might touch on that very quickly with you, Daniel, in a minute. But the Locomotive, Courmayeur, Cavoche Dior, and Interview winning the True Roman. And then also breeding and still owning Just Believe, which is a great effort in itself. I think they had 3 in the Inter-Dominion final. They had multiple runners everywhere. Bendigo, I don't know how many runners they actually had there, full stop, but they had plenty that they bred. But great to have the support. And don't forget to go to check out their stallion prices very quickly, Daniel, with Classic Connection, which we have a positive. Lucinda Mack, I can announce, has got a 42-day positive to Classic Connection on Solitaire, used to me, and on a streak, plus all the guys there with the frozen semen. Don't worry, I'm not playing favourites either, Daniel. I've got a positive to Lather Up. I was in all sorts of trouble for Woodlands. And
I thought you were going to say you had a positive swab. I'm thinking, what's going on?
And fingers crossed we have an American Ideal, but that one's a sore point, so we won't worry too much about that. So that was a great week. Lyndall Conroy was on earlier too. I was going to say, go to the RSN, go to the podcast that they have there. I don't know exactly where they have them, Daniel, but you might be able to tell me better. You may not be able to. But they a podcast today, Glenn Conroy, hilarious. Absolutely, Glenn Conroy.
On RSN, yeah. Was it on RSN? Yeah.
Yeah, what do they call it? Their Wednesday catch-up or something along those lines. And, he sat down on a bucket and they tried to get him to sing. He didn't sing. I was surprised. I thought... I was a bit surprised he piked out of that one. I thought he might have jumped in for a sing.
I was just going to it would be very, very nice to hear the singing on the racing station. Absolutely. Just I was just looking for it before I couldn't find it before you finished. Just on Anton Galeno and the Yerbydown Farms and he's had 158 starters this year for 56 winners. And 27 seconds, 14 thirds, and 18 fourths. I mean, it's unbelievable the strike rate that he's got, and particularly when you consider that in not a lot of the time, but quite a few occasions, I'll have multiple runners in the same race. So he's basically had, I'm just trying to do the maths here, what's that, 70, 83, 97, 115 of his 158 starters have finished in the top 4.
Wow. That is impressive.
I don't know. I was just actually looking at the premierships the other week for whatever reason, and I picked up on that one. Like, it's just 56 out of 158, 56 winners out of 158, and 115 of them have run in the top 4. Like, it's he's got some amazing horses at his disposal as well, which is it always helps, but you've still got to get the job done on the training track and then get it done at the races as well.
And like you said, like the other night at Bendigo, he sent 4 there. Revelstoke took on Cormier, so he was in the same race and probably was going to win for Lee Sutton until it galloped.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Cormier still wins. The thing I do like, and Duncan's doing the same thing as well, horses like Interview, though, with their bloodlines and what they're able to do, and just the way he won that True Roman, which is a race that I like because I had a lot to do with Jake, True Roman, the horse, and even Cravache Dior. They're 2 really up-and-coming horses. So they've got some really nice ones. They're a huge rap. I'll give people here, no scoop. Iron Love. Everyone there rates him. Now, he's a horse that hasn't put a run on the board. I think he may have won 1 race. As a 2-year-old early, he might have nearly won his first race start. The whole camp are very keen on him. So he's obviously got a lot of ability. He's one to follow. I know that they just love him as a horse, but just at the minute not delivering. But they'll give him time. No. The little brother there says, "Hope to God Lucinda's is a colt." You're not on your own there, Granny, especially after the year we're having right at the minute. I did that. This show's unscripted. It doesn't matter anyway. People can get involved in the conversation. But I did that Harness Breeders show a couple of years ago for Harness Breeders Victoria, and Desiree was here tonight dropping off some stuff for Holly. And Nick Hooper and Brett Coffey said about doing a breeding cross. So Union Alley is actually by Union Guy. And they suggested we go to Rock and Roll Dance. And it's borderline on line breeding. Well, it is, because both those 2 stallions are line bred, plus then it's a line bred. So it's a 2x3. And I don't know whether I want to thank them or kill the pair of them just at the minute. Man. It's a little filly, but yeah, it's the joys of breeding, and that we sort of like her. She's not in the cart yet, but we do like the horse as a horse. But man, she's a handful as well. Don't worry about that. So she's got a few strings to her bow, but that's all right. Mickey Blackmore's on, another great trotting person. Rossi Sugars, hello to you, Rossi. Hopefully you're still there. Great to have Ross Sugars on. I reckon he'd be a pretty proud dad and he should be too. Just before we get off the Inter-Dominion, a lot of people said to me, there was a lot of Jess Tubbs and Greg Sugars through the Inter-Dominion Carnival because they're accessible, they're smart, they dress smart, they're articulate. Greg was the face of the series, and for him to win the one, Just Believe, I think, capped off a remarkable. I know he didn't realise until halfway through how much they had taken on, but I think they conducted themselves so well. He probably could have dropped the F-bomb at the barrier draw, and he still bit his tongue when he drew. Bitter Eclipse drew 13. When Just Believe drew 13, he nearly could have done that. So yeah, but other than that, he did a great job. Even Triple Eight, that night. I didn't realise until I got home. Triple Eight in the consolation drew the extreme draw. There was one horse OD, and then he was the next horse. So he just had a shocking run of draws, but they were able to win the Inter-Dominion final, and well done.
Been through that. I've been through the bloody bad draws over the last couple of months, so know all of.
Can we just say about the early crow with the barrier draws?
The early crow, why?
Didn't you put a tweet out? Finally, we got a barrier draw, and then unfortunately, you had the scratch.
Well, there's actually two things to that. Yes, we had the scratch, and unbeknownst to me, it was actually a preferential draw, so he was always going to draw one or two. Yeah. Didn't realise that at the time. It was a preferential draw on Lifetime's wins, and we were always going to draw 1 and 2 because there was one of them that we had, it was ODM, and everything else had won a heap of races, so we were always going to draw 1 and 2. Did not know.
Did you tweet that after 9 o'clock at night? There should be a cut-off on tweeting it after certain hours.
No, I did. I tweeted it out, and then, of course, I found out a couple of days later that it was actually preferential draw. And then, of course, he got scratched after that. So, which was a bit disappointing, but that's horses.
They are very proud of you. You owned your mistake. So I think that is terrific. Just one more very quickly. I actually got two more. Bonsell Benjamin's retirement. 12 months after, he just hasn't come back the same horse. But I know both Steve and Julie are good friends of yours. You redid the race call for Duff for his, what turned out to be his 61st birthday. But anyway, it was his 60th where he had the party for, which is unlike Duff to have an excuse for a party. But you redid the call for him. But it's just a terrific horse. And you think back 12 months ago when we were doing this show, like Julie, she was still bubbling like 2 weeks after, wasn't she?
Oh, well, she still is now. I mean, it's a year past it, and they're still celebrating it, and so they should. Look, he was in that Inter-Dominion series. It was a bit of a flash in the pan. He just sort of came from sort of nowhere, made his way into the final, a lot like with the horse that has won this year, and I Cast No Shadow. Got the right sort of trip, and of course did win it on protest. But look, to be fair, even if he didn't get the interference, I think he was going to win anyway. They've enjoyed a thoroughly big year with after the result, and they were there at Shepparton on Heats night again, enjoying the night upstairs, and they've well deserved retirement for him because he'll become a riding horse, I think, for Julie. I don't think there's any question about that, and he'll have a long and happy retirement.
He'll be spoilt rotten.
Yep, absolutely.
That'll be it. Righto, my friends at NZB, their catalogues are out now. Please make sure you either contact the guys at nzbstandardbred.co.nz. It's not .com, it's .co.nz to order your catalogue. Or I have a box. I might have 2 boxes of them yet coming. So if anyone's after a catalogue is on. I have got the dates on this thing here somewhere. I've got this thing all set up so as I know where everything is, and then I get with Daniel and he just takes control and takes me out everywhere, and I still don't know where I put the dates. There they are there. The dates are, of course, the 19th at Karaka, and then the 20th through to the 22nd at Christchurch, with the 20th being the all trotting day. Make sure you get involved. Campbell's comments will be ticking off plenty more on that, but if you're after catalogue, give me a yell. Plenty of trotters, plenty of nice horses going in there. Plus, back to Nutrient, of course, don't forget their catalogue is about to be released. It's online now. huge amount of trotters, Daniel, which you and I both love, so which is really, really good. Right, we're going to stay with the New Zealanders for a sec. I'm actually going to change hats because he reckons I don't wear his hat too much, and I don't get sponsored. But I've got to put it this way. So this is me cheese cutter, Daniel. Like, I don't know whether you can see it there, but it's a lovely dress hat. But I reckon it's some of the best marking ever, the Regan Todd Proprietary Limited. So I just put it on there for Regs. Hopefully he might tune in. He may not. It doesn't matter at all. We're going to touch on New Zealand racing in a sec because Harness Racing New Zealand asked me to promote it so people know what is going on. But today at Ascot or Invercargill, a horse called the Power Broker for Paul Andrews broke through at start 116 today, broke through for his first win. What makes this even more remarkable, he's a little bit like Lionheart, who is here, 116 starts for one win, 4 seconds and 7 thirds. You go back to Anton Galino's strike rate, this horse is a complete reverse of him, and $38,000 in stakes. But well done to those guys today, and that's what harness racing is about. That's what we do. It's a trotter by the Prez, I think, from memory. You're looking it up, aren't you? Race 1, if you're looking it up, Daniel.
Yeah, I've got him. Yep.
And I'm pretty sure he was by
the Prez out of Solar System.
Yep.
And Solar System, as I click on there, here we go, Progeny, Solar Flare.
Yeah, so that's an Australian breed. That's Johnny Keldo and those have a lot to do with that breed. So yeah, which is cool.
I don't think
there's not a lot else.
Galaxy Hunter had 37 starts and won 7, but Solar Flare was, I remember that one.
Rightio.
And yeah, Power Broker, 116 starts, 1 win, 11 placings.
And that was today.
That's persistence. That's persistence.
He hasn't had it that long. He's only had it, I think, for about 10 starts. So, but well done to Paul Andrews for that. I think that's a great story. Timmy White says there, you must have our books because they haven't got theirs yet. That is a joy, Timmy, of the mail, and I say the same thing with the guys with the nutrient catalogues. Be aware because unfortunately the mail can be very, very frustrating. These were hand delivered. The boys are actually still in Western Australia. Anyone watching from Western Australia, which I don't know if I have West Australian followers or not, but yeah, they go from there. Actually, I'm going to put the Woodlands one on only because it's comfortable. I like me Woodlands hat on, so only because it's comfortable. Rightio. Now, Daniel, let's see how this works. Got it in one, and now I've just got to change. Everyone says to me about me changing me buttons and everything along those lines. It does take a little bit from time to time. We will start actually very quickly. Auckland, Daniel. There is a great meeting coming up at Auckland, but the Queen of Hearts is coming. Is going to be here on Friday night. So these races are at Friday night, 8:40. So that's 6:40 Friday night. It's got a lovely field of 8. One thing they are aware of in New Zealand is having races for these mares and group races to try and keep these mares there and keep them racing. Assembled a beautiful field. Manhattan won last week. She's won, what she won? 9 and won $130,000 in stakes. So there's plenty of good stake money there in New Zealand, but this is a good field. Sounds of Cash, who's of course bred by Yabby Farms. It is a pacing bred. It's actually a Harassa Trotter's bred, but Darling Me, one of the purebreds of the breed as well there for the Telfers. And of course, Steve Stockman and Stonewall Stud. So they've got a couple of horses in that. So going to be very good. Stylish Memphis, of course, was a really good mare over here a little while earlier as well. So good field of mares. And then, heaven forbid, they actually have a standing start because they've only got 7 runners. Last Tango in Heaven, Rough and Ready, Hey Bartender, Tapio, Hot and Treacherous off 15, Tango off 15 metres, and then 30 metres to Copy That. Copy That wouldn't get a start in that race, probably still wins the race, but at least they've got the 30-metre handicap, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen him come off, 70 metres or something at Cambridge and won. So, I mean, that's what makes the race. Like, he's not going to have any, he's going to be back there on his own, on his lonesome on 30 metres. So, he's not going to have any traffic. So he's just got to make sure he gets him away safely. and then he's got to do the chasing, and that's that basically is what you're wagering on. Is if can he go away, can he catch up, and should be able to do so with a small field of 7. And then once he's close enough, he's going to be awfully hard to beat.
No, he is indeed. I'm just going to try and get Invercargill race. Well, their site works a lot better than ours, Daniel. I'll tell you that right now. It's very, very simple to get to. Invercargill race on Saturday. It's Saturday, and it's an unusual time, 4:20, and
so that's 2:20 our time.
Yeah, and I thought that's a bit odd, but because they're right down far south, they said daylight's not an issue. Obviously, close. It must be the way the summer works and everything else like that.
Yeah, well, they're right down the bottom, so I think they might be a bit lower than Tassie. I think from memory.
No, they are.
They'll be. Yeah, so they'll be. It's virtually. We're only 2 weeks away from the. Actually, I think we're only a week away from the longest day. So, the sun will be up there till midnight.
Sean McNulty, he's on. I wonder if he's ever been to Auckland. But they've got a big field. Their main 2 races, they've got a trot, which unfortunately just dropped away as far as numbers go. There's only the 6 in it. The Duns were going to take a couple there, and they ended up not taking any. Johnny's driving, excuse my French. But 4 Wise Men for the Telfers looks your favourite as well on that card, but only the 6 trotters. But that's a $30,000 race. But they've also got the Group 1 Ascot Park Hotel Invercargill Cup, and it's got a really, really good field. And again, Daniel, it's a stand, so you've got this great intrigue of lower class, lower rated horses off the front, and then your class runners starting to come into it with Henry Hibberd, BD Joe and Krug off 10, Self-Assured and Spankham off 20 metres. There was some talk it was going to be a mobile, and there was a little bit of anarchy happened, but it's reverted back to the stand, and it's going to be a good race with a lot of intrigue, mate.
Yeah, 2 miles as well, so it's not. It is a true
$100,000 race too, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, at Group 1, you'd think that Self-Assured and Spankham, obviously they deserve the handicaps, and they're probably going to have to do a fair bit of work in the run. But they are the top raters in that event, and the ones off the front, they are the 70 to 90 or 70 to 90 is those off the front. So there's a fairly big discrepancy in terms of the spread of the ratings, and given that they're only off 20, they're probably going to be really probably too close to the front markers to really scare those ones off the front.
There is a smoky off the front, the 4 Sandwave for Nathan Williamson. Now the guys that own this
3-year-old
is a 3-year-old contested the Derby, sat 3 deep for the last lap, and was only beaten a couple of metres by Republican Party. Akuta beat him quite comfortably. Mate, we need this horse to win. We need this horse to win everywhere. We need these guys to come to Australia. The Nude at 10 Syndicate own this horse. I did an interview with them. They ran 3rd in the Derby. I encourage people to go back and have a look at my Grand Prix Day interviews. They are crack-ups, these guys. They enjoy it. They were chanting, like when they started, they'd had about 1 beer, we're going to win the Derby. So as soon as they ran 3rd, they started saying, we're going to win the Cup because they're at Addington, so they're going to come back and win the Cup. Then they realised they've got a chance. Hang on, we'll get into the race, which is in April. So they changed their chant to, we're going to win the race. So we're going to win the race, we're going to win. And then someone turned around and said, no, we're going to win the Invercargill Cup. So then it went back to the Cup. They just were chanting all night. And the reason they're called the Nude at 10, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, mate. There is a reason for it. So, yeah, it's they're a lot of fun, those guys. They enjoy themselves, which is what we want. And I reckon good luck to him. And I'll tell you what, he's a lovely, very nice little horse, because those other 2 horses are high-class horses. He's not that far behind them by any stretch.
He's on 8 of 19, 135,000 in stakes, so he's certainly done nothing wrong.
What's he by, Daniel?
Some beat somewhere out of Wave Runner.
Yep. Yeah.
And Sandwave.
Yeah. No, he's a lovely, lovely little horse. So good luck to those guys. Just on that too, Daniel, while we're going, big news out of New Zealand with Hayden Cullen leaving the all-conquering Purden camp and moving to the opposition, if you like, with Stonewall Stud and the Telfers. So he's He's going to set up there from January 1. I believe Amanda's going to be joining him there as well. So they're effectively going to have 3 stables. There'll be Steve Telfer on the north, and then Amanda having 1 stable, and Hayden Cullen having another stable in the south. Plus, potentially Amanda will be doing a lot of travelling. They are going to be here in February, March for our summer carnival, which is going to be enormous, pouring a lot of money into the industry, and they're very, very, it's terrific to have those guys being a part of it. Right, Daniel, we are going to go to the Greyhounds and Sandown Park. I've got Sandown Park up, mate. So I've just got to push some buttons here to get myself around that. But it's not necessarily a big night this week, I gather, looking at it. But it is just got one feature race. But what a feature race it is in the Laurels.
Yeah, so this is it's a Group 2. It's a race that a lot of people want to win. It's restricted to the female dogs, the bitches, and we had the heats last week, and this is the $50,000 to the winner final. The other feature all female races, the Sapphire Crown, which Wow She's Fast won during the middle of the year. So this is the other female feature race of the year at Sandown, and it's a ripping race. I've always had a soft spot for Baby JC, number 5, and I think she just doesn't seem to always draw the best, but if she jumps and she can really get out and run, she's certainly going to be hard to beat. I would have thought that Kelsey Bale's the obvious danger, number 3. She can get out and really run. She's got a 5-second best first split, and if she's able to produce that, she's going to be always up on the speed, and if she can be close enough, she can win. Ailey Bale was second in its heat last week, gets the plum draw with the red. It's the $2.90 favourite at the moment. So, look, I'm going to play with Baby JC here. I think she's always shown a lot of potential. Didn't have any luck through the Melbourne Cup, Carnival. Just got another bad draw. She just doesn't seem to draw that well. But if she can get the right sort of luck against her own sex, I think she's going to be hard to beat. And
it is a big night. What's there? 11 races. If I'm going to chip the watchdog on one thing. Bit hard for me to do this way to actually find the right race. I had the wrong race up initially, but I've worked it out. It's all good, Daniel. Don't you worry. I actually cheat. You actually are on my computer that I normally are able to cheat and make out like I'm smart when I'm on my own, you see, because I can have a computer in front of me with everything in front of me, but it is okay. You're calling there at Sandown. You think you had a week off last week. Was there a doctor's excuse or?
No, I had Patrick's graduation, his Year 6 graduation. I had a dinner to go to in Finley, so I ventured up the highway and spent the night with him up there. And first Metro meeting off at Sandown for basically since February. So yeah, it was a bit weird, but we're back on deck tomorrow night.
A worthy replacement. I'm not saying he's as good a caller by any stretch, but he's enjoyable to listen to. And James Vandermeer, I must say, he is a lot of fun. Now we're going to go to the 17th, and we're going to go to the Meadows, I believe. Is that where we're going, Daniel?
Race 9 at the Meadows.
How do I go for that? I'll be able to tell you in a sec when I see. Yep, that's the right race because that's Brooke Innes. So a lot of people here would know Jamie Innes through the trots. Just making, yeah, she's a pearl. Yep, it's drawn the pole. We've got the right race. I had to double check. I was a bit worried I had the wrong place. But she experienced Group 1 win the other night. She actually quinelled it last week, didn't she? Was that at the Meadows last Saturday night?
It was, yeah. So the Silver Chief, she had Amron Boy and Amron Dan run the quinella, and Amron Dan's been very unlucky He was very unlucky not to make the Melbourne Cup final. He was just beaten by Wow She's Fast in the match race showdown there on Cup night, and then he came out and won the heat and the final of the Silver Chief. He's an extremely highly talented dog, young fella from Baruga. Brett Nye is involved in the ownership with the dog. He's was known him through cricket, and his other parts of his family up there as well. And he was training dogs there for a while, and now is sort of owning a few. And this guy is certainly the best of the lot, 230,000 in prize money. And he's a jet. He is a jet, and he's going to be really hard to beat in this Phoenix race on Saturday night.
Just rub everyone's nose in it. I'm going to scroll it down. First prize?
$1 million.
Second prize?
200,000.
Third?
And they pay all the way down to 8. They pay 150,000 for third, 100,000 for fourth, and fifth to 8 you get 50 grand.
Unbelievable.
It's a slot race, so you've got to buy your slot. It's much like the Everest and the Eureka that's obviously going to happen in the trots, and also the races over in Western Australia. And obviously this is the second running of it after last year. You've got to put your bid into GRV to get a slot, and then the 8 slot holders were announced. They then have to go around and try and negotiate deals with the dogs that are in form at the time, and lock away a potential Phoenix runner. We had plaintiff drawn box 5 for Neds, for the bookmaker Neds, and unfortunately plaintiff has succumbed to injury and had to be scratched, and now they've got Zippy Tesla in the field, drawn box number 5. So it's astonishing this sort of what this race has become in just a short period of time, and this is as strong a race as you're ever going to see. Probably the only one that's probably hasn't got any chance whatsoever is number 7, Tiana Bell, who won. He actually was the only one that won its way into this race. It won the Queensland Flame. The Queensland Greyhound Association had a slot, and they, instead of giving it to or selecting a dog, they actually ran a series, and this was the dog that won the final. It was about, I think, 40 to 1 or 50 to 1 in actually winning the final of the series. But it won the slot, and look, it's probably going to struggle in this race, in this contest. But the other 7, they could all certainly win it.
No, that's. I'm actually glad Queensland did that, because sometimes these slot races are out of the hand. So I gather that the guys with that, they would be battlers. They haven't had to sell their dog, if you like, necessarily to get that spot. So I think that's well done. And as we know, $100, 100 to 1 pops still win races. Might be hard, but they can still win.
Anything, and particularly in this sort of field with all the speed that's in the race, and Tiana Bale, the one I've just mentioned, has a fair bit of speed, so it could cause a bit of might be clear into that first corner if it's deep enough and there's a bit of interference. It could skip away and build a bit of a lead. In terms of a selection for the race, look, it is so hard. Like I reckon I could pick 4 of them and still not get the winner. I think Wow She's Fast has got a decent enough chance with plaintiff in the field. I think that chance is probably a bit stronger now, given that Zippy Tesla's drawn box 5. Zippy Tesla doesn't get out all that quick usually. If Wow She's Fast can win the start and get ahead of it, she may have a clearer run to the first turn, and be really right up on the speed. I think Paddy Wants Pats and She's a Pearl are obviously very well drawn down on the inside, and certainly if She's a Pearl jumps and is able to get to the lead, she's going to be awfully hard to beat. But I have a bit of a soft spot for Wow She's Fast, and I hope she jumps and really makes it a contest.
I think you're entitled to. I know when you call her and that. I think it's a great field of dogs, and well done to those guys. Good luck to Brooke Innes through what I used to do with the Facebook Lives, getting to know Brooke through that. Plus, Jamie has trained harness racing horses too, so good luck to those guys. Clinton McSwain, we've got quite a few people on there. John Patterson, Brett Wallstrom, I think that name is there. So thank you for everyone for joining in. As I said, Shawnee McNulty is there as well. Barb Sedgwick just got on there. She's still trying to get her head around slot racing. It's possibly going to get more and more of it, Barb. There's Daniel just said there before about Perth. Perth have got 3 next year. They've got the Quacker,
Quack.
the Quacker. It's still a stupid. It doesn't matter what it is. It's a stupid name.
Yeah, I know.
What's
That's
the trot
Western
race?
Australia. What are you going to do?
What's the trot race called, Daniel?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Is there a sand groper or something like that?
Yeah, and then the greyhound race. So yeah, they're all a bit funny names. The same time, there is the race in New Zealand, and I can't say, but I do know there's a potential of another one on the same night. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to work out potentially what gate that might be in New Zealand. So we then got the Eureka here. I know potentially also in Queensland there's that opportunity as well there as well. So Barb, I think you better start working the slot races out. It's only really a concern once you get a good one and people start knocking, then you realise how good they are. And they are good for the people with the good dogs. They're not all bad. It is a way of getting corporates to invest more money and potentially get a bigger outlay as well for their investment.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's why the prize money is so strong. It's $1 million to the winner. Whatever the slot holders have decided with regards to, the split of that money between the owners of the dog and the commercial, the commercial owner of the dog as well. So it's certainly something different, but it is thus far proving to be a very beneficial sort of contest for the industry, and particularly the slot holders, because they can do such a heap of stuff that's got nothing to do with the actual race night. Like RSN have McInerney for Brendan Purcell drawn in box 8. They've dedicated a fair bit of airtime to discussing the dog, going out to the kennels. And then they've given away a table of 10 to the listeners, sort of one of the listeners of the station, so that they can go on. So drawing different people into the sport for a night out at the dogs. I mean, it's just brilliant that there's so many things. And like last year when we saw Wow She's Fast win with Sportsbet, like they had a huge crew there that were jumping up and down and carrying on like idiots, but that's all part of it. It builds the night, and look, it's only going to get bigger, and all the codes will tinker with the methodology of it and come up with different ways to make them better and improve them. But I think that they're here to stay. I've got no doubt about that.
The last year, anyone wondering, Sportsbet owned the slot holder that won it. It was actually the TAB Phoenix. They actually bought the rights to a slot plus also naming rights to it. No one from the TAB stepped up on the dais to present the trophy to the Sportsbet, which was, for mine, bad taste. I mean, I don't think you can go for the sponsorship right and then dictate who else owns the slot. But that's what it holds. And guess what? They signed into a 3-year contract, so they're all back next year. So it'll go from there. And Sportsbet one day might own a slot race that the TAB, own. And we want more people than those guys involved in it. But you understand what I'm saying, don't you? Like the fact that you can change it up and can get different people getting involved.
Yeah, it's not just the corporate bookmakers that have got slots. There's a private slotters own slot as well, and I don't know too much about it. I think they've got El Dorado in the race, and then you've got RSN, you've got SEN, all different arms of the industry have got slots. So it's not just the bookies.
It's interesting. I will say 2 things. RSN, awesome what they're doing with McInerney. I listen to RSN pretty much whenever I can, like just sitting in the car and just will have it on. And Brendan Purcell, I forgot to, another harness racing guy who has gone there and got a live chance. But just the insight, he gets an egg and bacon. He gets an egg and bacon roll on Sunday, no matter what. Like that's they feed him, but his treat is on a Sunday. They get an egg and bacon roll just to change it up a bit for him. And I was like, that's cool.
They get a Macca's soft serve on the way home.
Yeah, but that's commonplace. Is that justification for the trainers so they can go to Macca's on the way? Is that how it works, or
Possibly, but you'd seriously reckon the McDonald's would be looking or GRV would be trying to get a sponsorship deal with McDonald's. I mean, they'd be selling so many soft serves to trainers and dogs every night of the year. Like, there's got to be an angle. There's got to be an angle there, surely.
I'm waiting on a soft serve machine to rock up at Sandown because there's no way he's there. He'd be onto it.
Well, Mr. Whippy turns up at the kettling area. He'd make a killing.
Back to the corporates too. New Zealand, the race was very successful. It wasn't $1 million. I think it was 900,000 from memory, or 750. Anyway, it was just shy. But in New Zealand, no corporates. So they have the TAB, which is the equivalent of the TAB, and I know people might say it's different, same name. It's not quite the same name, and it is governed differently over there. So the TAB and the racing jurisdictions work differently to what it does here. So it is actually geared a little bit different. But there is no corporates. Now, I know Ladbrokes got a little bit cheeky, but I think they've been chipped this year because they weren't Ladbrokes, they were Lad Boys or the Lads, I think they were classed as, or something along those lines with their naming. I think they've got to pull their head right in. It can, and the prize money's gone up this year. I think it is $1 million race this year, and it can work because they don't have the corporates. So it does work, and it got new people involved, including the guys that sponsored it were a craft beer company. And I can't think of their name either, but so it gets new people involved. Huge success. I'm hoping to be there. I'm a chance of being there next year just to showcase what it is all about. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And I will say, stay tuned for some big announcements. There could be quite a few Australians heading that way, I would imagine, trying to eye off some of those rich races that they got coming up. I mean, Jason Grimson's done it the last 2 years. Majestic Cruiser, he ran second in it. So, who knows what he'll be doing next year as well. So, yeah. Right, mate. We haven't touched on Victorian harness racing, but there's Vic Breds are on at the minute. Did you watch the Vic Breds last night, the 2-year-olds? Interesting. Always throws up.
I watched it. Hey?
It always throws up some. I like.
Yeah.
I know people don't like it at the end of the season. I do, because there's a few favourites that were a bit disappointing. A long season's caught up with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does.
You can't keep going. You just can't keep going to the well.
No.
It eventually catches up with you, and there's a few of them that'll sort of probably. Yeah, if they do, they've got maybe 2 more races in their campaign. The semi-final and the final, and hopefully they can go out for a spell. But the Lost Storm was really good. Doug's Platter was a bit of an upset result, beating Rock Artist there. It was a good run. Perfect Class was a good win. Emma had her first 4 there, but nothing sort of new there. Sweet Bella was a big effort to score. And VMG McRae was that's fair effort to win from 12 and beat a decent field, particularly Perfect in Pink. Chiripo was a good run there in second as well, and then Joyful won the last of the heats. $1.12 favourite, pretty comfortable win. But it wasn't just all the favourites winning, which is good to see.
No, and I think that's what it is. I think that's where it is. It is actually good. Daniel, thank you. You can have next week off. You'll have Tuesday off anyway. You probably got Wednesday off because there's no Bendigo either, is there?
No, there's no Bendigo this week. Well, we're back on deck next week, so just the one week off.
All right.
Under the one meeting for me tomorrow night, and then back to it. Bendigo Wednesday, Sandown Thursday, Bendigo Friday, and then Boxing Day at Shepparton.
Bendigo Christmas Eve Friday.
The 23rd.
23rd. Oh, it's a dual code meeting again? No, it's not. No, there's no Bendigo. Forget that.
No.
I won't promise. We might just go there and do a bit of a live wrap up with yourself and Troy and Charlton and have a bit of fun. We'll just see what happens. We'll cross that bridge when it gets a bit closer. But mate, thank you. Thanks for joining me tonight. Thank you to everyone that's got involved. Really do appreciate it. Please don't forget, next week I will be at Wagga. We'll be live Tuesday night, 6 o'clock. Greg Gangle and a lot of other people will be there getting involved. Mark Barton will be there. Meet Gemma Smallman. There'll be breeders there. We'll be catching up with trainers and drivers. Daniel, little teaser too. New South Wales, I'm allowed to show the races live. I was actually half tempted to put Bathurst into the feed tonight, but I thought I'd best not. But next week, you won't miss a race from Wagga. Won't be able to show you a race from wherever they're racing in Victoria, but I'll be able to show you the Wagga races live. So we'll be bringing them to you live on the feed. So my New Zealand friends, you'll be able to sit back and watch great racing from, what do they call it? Riverina Paceway, but it's got another name as well.
Riverina Paceway.
Don't they call it something else as well?
Nah, I think it's just Riverina Paceway.
Yeah. Anyway, beautiful venue. We'll be set up there. We'll be having a little bit of fun. Anyone in the area, I encourage you to come and see us and call in and annoy us. That's what it's going to be about. But as I said, it'll be a bit of fun. Few guests, get to know some different people. Plus the regulars. We'll be making sure we keep up in touch with the New Zealanders. I might even try and do a pre-record with you, a recap of the two good races over the weekend or something. Daniel will work that out. Or we might call you in live. You never know. On the phone. Who knows what I'll do, because I'm that organised, as you know. Anything could happen, mate. What's for tea?
Chicken and potato bake.
Grant,
that's why I had to run out. I was worried the potato bake was going to burn, so I had to go out there and make sure it didn't.
Grant mustn't be cooking tonight either, because he was in the show earlier. Generally, when he gets involved, then we start getting cooking photos, but we didn't get any of those. But that's okay.
No.
Brittany Graham, hello to you, Brittany. You're very late to the party tonight. She's just joined in. She tunes in all the time, but she just gets in a little bit late. So she must have just finished in the gig, or might be just about to start, and she's a bit bored. But hello to you. Well done on everything you did promoting our sport. You did a great job. And Emily Woomwell, I'll go with. Hello to you as well. But that's it. That's a wrap for On Loose Lines, the show that is just random. But it is the #1 talkback online harness racing show in Australia, New Zealand, definitely Pakistan and India, because I don't know anyone else that gets into that.
We're big over there. We are big over there.
We have a couple of Americans getting involved. We get the odd person from Norway as well. So we're branching out. Don't you worry about that, Daniel. So it is all very, very good. And that's the little brother's still working. That can't be any good for him at this hour of the night. No wonder he's not cooking. We'll get some cooking food later. All right, mate. Thank you. Thanks to everyone for taking part. And HRV or HRA, look at your rating system, change it up. Let's make these good races more of a spectacle and something a bit more fun. So, all right, mate. Thanks for joining me.